name is Adrian Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest upload. Now, how is it a business can go mainstream? There's an interesting book that does talk about this called Crossing the Chasm by Jeffrey A. Moore, Marketing and Selling Disruptive Products to Mainstream Customers. Now, when you define a target audience that who your business is aimed at, initially you want to target those like innovators and the early adopters, the people that are very forgiving of errors, people that are willing to help and contribute to the development and tech of the business or the product. Those that have been waiting their entire life for this business or product or service to come along. You don't want to go into aiming for the everyday person, what's called the pragmatist majority, where they're rather cynical and they don't want to rebel against the status quo, and they're very happy in the status quo and they're quite comfortable in life. You don't want to aim for them right out the bat, because those people will not care about disruption. See, and that's the mainstream. You have to ease your way into the mainstream. It's like, as a side note, Bitcoin right now, from a marketing perspective, Bitcoin has got some problems with regards to how the ease of use and the technology, and just like as quick as like chip and pin or contactless or cash. If you can get as quick as that, then the adoption of Bitcoin or certainly cryptocurrency might be a lot faster and accelerate a slightly more condensed hockey curve graph, a time span graph. But that's a little different point. But in your business, to start off with, go for the innovators and early adopters. And as you start to be quite well known in that area, the content, the awareness, the subscribers, the sales, the revenue, the earnings, then you can start to pivot your business ever so slightly and aim for the mainstream. And there's two ways about doing that. One, there is every two people in three are talking about your product or service, and everyone knows at least two people that's talking about it in some way or another. Like fidget spinners, everyone was talking about it and it was mainstream. Yeah, do you remember fidget spinners? They just came out of nowhere, peaked, and more or less troughed, and they've settled now since then. Now, I don't know about when you're watching this, but point is, because everyone was talking about them, there'll be signs and in shops they got fidget spinners, £5 a piece, and it's like, I've not seen anyone use it. I've never bought one. I've got one, been gifted, but I've never bought one, and it's like, well, what's going to happen with it? No idea. So when people are talking about it, you're more likely to go mainstream. But getting people to talk about your business is something else as well. It's doable, but that's a different strategy. Alternatively, is look at the mainstream as a big picture and find very specific audiences and communities that have got a very specific problem that you specifically solve. And these people have tried so many other alternatives. They've tried over here, over there, over here, and there and everywhere, and they're now desperate. They are desperate for an answer. They're desperate for a solution. They are at their wits' end, and they are desperate. They need it. They will try anything, even things that are unproven or experimental. They'll try anything, and that's your chance to craft content, create advertisements, create anything. Have conversations with people that are having those exact situations where, like for example, I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, it doesn't matter. That when Bill Gates was coming out with like Microsoft Word or Windows 95, for example, he didn't market, say, things like Microsoft Word at playwrights or authors or script writers or screenwriters. He didn't market Excel at accountants or economists or statisticians, for example. He didn't market PowerPoint to business people or executives and things like that. I'm pretty sure he did. I don't really know, but that's an example of taking your product or service and promoting it to a very specific audience that they will give a real damn about it, and they're at their wits' end, you know, rather than... I saw a documentary, actually, oddly enough, it was about Apple. It was about Apple when they were getting started, and there was this story about this guy who was presenting this like basic Excel software in the 1970s, like Excel sheet software in the 1970s, mid or late 70s, to an accountant, and the accountant started shaking because this guy had just done what took the accountant a week to do in like half an hour, adding all the numbers together, and he did it like incredibly fast. So if you can highlight to these people why they need it, it saves them time, energy, money, etc. But also at the same time, those that are at their wits' end, because they will be desperate to try anything. So market it to them. Those kind of ways, everyone's talking about you, combined with specific problems for very specific audiences, helps your business to go mainstream. And that can be applied for let's take Bitcoin. As soon as everyone starts talking about it, more people talking about it, through sheer law of averages, people will start to adopt it out of curiosity or be curious about it. But also through education, through understanding what the technology is, or what it means, or like blockchain, or the revolution in terms of tech and communication, then people and businesses and some institutions have already started adopting it, but people will start to adopt it on a day-to-day basis. You have to get, it's the chicken or the egg. Is it the vendor or the seller? I mean, the buyer or the vendor? I think it's the buyer you get first, because if those people put pressure on the vendors will then realise, I can make money here, totally unbiased, totally unopinionated, but they can make money, and they're reacting to the market's demands and needs and the way it's moving. They're following the market. You can try and lead the market, different situation. It's a completely different ball game and it goes beyond this video. But if you get the sellers on board first, like changing hearts and minds, shock and awe kind of thing, or whatever different strategy, they'll move and the businesses will follow. And thus it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, it's a positive feedback loop, it's exponential growth, and the rest is history. But anyway, that's a different story, that is. So the question of the day to you is, how are you going mainstream? How are you going mainstream? Comment below, I'm very curious. Let's talk, let's share ideas, let's synergize. In the meantime, however, remember that this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. So click on the subscribe button below and press the bell notification right next to it for the latest uploads. How cool is that?